Now that you know how to pronounce the first 5 hiragana, it's time to learn how to read them. But we're not going to just look at a character and try to memorize it. We're going to use some visual mnemonics to help place the character into your brain. This way, the memory will have something to hook onto, and it will be easier for you to recall the information. Remember, recalling information out of your brain is how you memorize things, not the other way around. So, do you remember the first 5 sounds from the previous video? Good. Let's start by learning the first sound, ah. This is the character ah. To memorize it, take a look at it more closely. Do you see the letter A inside the character ah? Use the little letter A to help trigger the memory that this is the character ah. The next character is E. To store this in your brain, think about how it looks like 2 eels. The E in eels sounds like the character E. Use the eels to help you to remember that this is E. Now let's look at the kana U. If you turn your head sideways to look at it, you'll actually see the letter U. The letter U is what we use to represent this sound in English, though we pronounce it as U. So turn your head sideways, see that it's a U, and then you'll remember that this is U. The fourth character is a little trickier. We're going to remember it by thinking how it looks like an exotic bird. The e in exotic is what's going to trigger the memory that tells us that this is the character for e. Make sure that you see the exotic bird in this character. Now, remember that mnemonics don't have to be perfect. All they have to do is help you to recall the memory that's in your head. So as long as you can see this and remember that this is the character e, the mnemonic is doing its job. Alright, now lastly, let's look at the kana o. This one looks a lot like ah, doesn't it? But we can tell them apart by looking closely once again. If you look at o, there's a little O inside there. So, ah has a little A in it, O has a little O in it. That's easy to remember, right? Now that you've gone through these 5 mnemonics, it's time to practice recalling them. You might not get all of them at first, but that's okay. If you forget 1 or 2, just try to use the mnemonic to pull it out of your brain. When you struggle to recall a memory, but finally successfully recall it, without cheating, that's actually building a stronger memory for you. It's telling your brain that, yes, this is important. So, a little struggle is good. I'm going to put some kana up on the screen, along with some time in between. Can you recall them? Ah. Remember how it has a little A character in there. Ah. E. This looks like a couple of eels. E. U. Turn your head sideways to see the U to help you to remember U. E. This looks like an exotic bird. E. O. See the little O in there? That's how you know this is O. That right there isn't quite enough to memorize these 5 kana really well. But if you go to tofugu.com/guide/learn hiragana, I put up a lot more practice. Link will be in the description below. After you've learned to read those 5 kana, you can now move on to the next video where we'll cover the next set of kana.